Hey guys, what is up? Big Reviews here, back again with another video. Guys, Spider-Man Brand New Day is here. Got the tattoo, boom, thwip, to celebrate. Got the shirt. Guys, first Tom Holland Spider-Man film in 5 years. Can you believe it? No Way Home is 5 years old this December. I cannot believe that. Someone on Twitter mentioned it the other day, and I was like, 5 years? They really had a stew in this Tom Holland, and it's been worth it, guys. Everyone's putting on a class act performance. I think this is Tom Holland's best Spider-Man film. We'll get into that a little bit in the non-spoilers, but especially in the spoiler section. And yeah, let's talk about what we can't talk about without spoilers, guys. First off, the same guy, Daniel, I think Cretton is his name. He directed Shang-Chi and Wonder Man. Wonder Man just got canceled, by the way. I cannot believe it. One of the best Marvel shows. He comes in here with a bang. Now, okay, there are some good scenes, swinging scenes and stuff in the Home trilogy, which was Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home. Just was sauceless. We kind of know this. John Watts was the director. The movies just look kind of sauceless and stiff. They were still fun, but they were pretty stiff. This movie, this has solidified to me, and this is gonna piss people off, Tom as being the best Spider-Man. There was some stuff holding him back, like, you know, obviously everyone called him Iron Boy Jr. and stuff because what we didn't realize until No Way Home, those 3 movies were his origin stories. It wasn't just like Homecoming and all that. Those three movies were his origin story. And I think that takes a lot of balls to do a whole trilogy that, you know, takes 5 years to make. And oh, my light just died. And make that, you know, your origin story. So now we finally have this movie, which is past the origin story. We don't even know all that shit. And we see Peter, and it's just great. Tom Holland is just such a good Peter Parker and Spider-Man. This is the most Spider-Man he's ever felt. The moves, like his fighting, like the fighting in this movie is so well choreographed. A lot of the scenes, and Tom Holland has been on record in interviews saying that they did take a lot of like the finishers from the PS4 Spider-Man game and put it in here. And it's here, guys. I mean, this is it. Like, there were a lot of moments where he would do like the phew, phew, and like land or spin with all the web straight out of Spider-Man PS4, which is so great because the fighting in that game is fantastic. The swinging scenes, like, it doesn't feel stiff anymore. You really feel it with him. I love the POV shots of him swinging through the city. New York just feels alive and stuff. There are a couple gripes I have with, like, story-wise, regarding the Daredevil, which we'll get into, but New York just feels alive, and it's so good to see the inverse of No Way Home, where everyone was, you know, kind of going after Spider-Man, and now, you know, he is like being celebrated throughout the city. And I really love how his connection is with the woman from The Bear. She's a great character, and the whole thing with damage control. John Berthnall's the Punisher, great. I really love, again, they're making him a little more funny and stuff, obviously, because you can't go full Punisher in a Spider-Man movie, but I really like how they bridge the gap. He is cussing a lot. He's not saying fuck, but, you know, he's saying shit and all that stuff, which you don't need cussing to be Frank Castle, but that's what he's known for, obviously, one of the things. And, you know, that just felt frank enough for me in PG-13, which was great. Their dynamic was really good. Bruce Banner, he's not in the movie a lot, but he is great, which we'll get into in spoilers. And Sadie Sink, which I can't say anything regarding her character without it being a spoiler. She's great in this movie, which we'll get into. But the score is great as always. The acting is really great. There's a lot of scenes with Zendaya, you know, MJ, Ned, and Peter, especially with MJ and Peter, that are really well. There's about a 2-minute scene near the end of the movie that has no score on it, and it's just their acting and their, you know, monologues and stuff, and it's very well done, and it was really emotional. The cameos and stuff, you know, I can't get much into, but were great. And yeah, before we get into spoiler talk, I'm just gonna go ahead and give this score 9 out of 10, guys. I think this is maybe even a 9.5. I think this is better than the whole Home trilogy, okay? And the whole Home trilogy is great. I think No Way Home is carried a little bit by the fact that obviously Toby and Andrew are in it, and I think they are carried big time in that sense, but that's still a good movie. Far From Home's a little weak in my opinion. Not bad, but a little weak, and Homecoming's pretty good. But this film is just, this is what I wanted to see with Spider-Man. You know, again, he's broke, he's alone, and just him kind of navigating that and helping out another person in this movie is great. So let's go ahead and get into spoilers, guys. So you know, let's just say it outright. Sadie Sink is in fact playing Jean Grey. This has been theorized for a while, and she is a perfect Jean Grey. I love that. I was having this convo with some people leaving the theater. I love that Jean Grey, she's young. I love that they're doing the, because again, I know they were young in the first X-Men film, but I'm just so used to the same X-Men. You know, we're getting like, 60, almost 60-year-old Hugh Jackman and all that. Like, I just like that Jean Grey, she's 20 and she's a great Jean Grey. And I love that she's not all powerful off rip. Like, we see her in this movie kind of like develop and work on her powers more, So I love that's going forward. I love that this is like the first mutant from the X-Men in the MCU. Obviously Kamala Khan was confirmed to be a mutant and stuff, but this is like the first like main X-Men that's going to be in the MCU. And it's really interesting because we don't know, because I remember I made the joke, I was like, imagine if Charles Xavier comes up like, my child, come to my mansion. That's not him. But it would have been interesting to see if he did, if like the X-Men exist. I really don't think they do. I don't think Charles Xavier like and all that exists in this universe. I just don't get that vibe. Like, they never mentioned it. There was one news article in She-Hulk where it said man with like claws. Maybe that's Wolverine. We know an X-Men film's coming in 2028, and we know that Secret Wars is going to basically soft reboot the MCU, which is like them basically pick and choosing what they want to keep. And it's going to be the Fantastic Four now in the MCU and the X-Men. So it's going to be interesting to see if like we already have X-Men in here, because we have Jean Grey, but it just doesn't seem like X-Men are a known group right now. And it's very interesting to see if this thing, so Peter makes a device that can basically like stop like the RNA or whatever. And as you know, mutants, that's all it is, their DNA. And so he essentially, the device essentially stops Jean Grey. And it's just interesting because it's like, okay, I wonder if this is going to be important going forward with the first few X-Men films in the MCU, because this can stop all X-Men. And as you know, the main plot point with the X-Men is basically racism of soups. Like, if Captain America were to save a man out of a burning building, he'd be cheered. If Jean Grey or Wolverine were to go save a man out of a burning building, they would basically get like ridiculed and basically like hate speech thrown at them and stuff, because I think people in the Marvel universe, like, they were born with it, so they're weird, but then Steve got it from a serum because he was born just like y'all. I don't know. It's one of those things where like, obviously it's a good story element to like, go with like real stuff happening in the real world. But if someone saves me, I'll be like, thank you. I'm not really gonna, if I'm in the Marvel universe, but we obviously know that's going forward. She's great in this film. Hulk, I'm so glad Hulk is back. We haven't seen a Banner to Hulk transformation on screen. I think it was since Avengers 1, either Avengers 1 or Age of Ultron. We haven't seen it. It's always been off screen. So finally seeing like, and so they tricked you, because at the beginning it's Smart Hulk being controlled by Jean, right? And I'm like, did they just put the fake Hulk in there and now it's actually Smart Hulk? And I felt like if they actually did that, it would have pissed a lot of people off, because we've been yearning for OG Hulk to be back. Like, Hulk from Ragnarok, and no, she ends up losing control of him. And this is interesting going forward. Again, this is for Banner's character, because we don't see what happens afterwards. He mentions that she kind of almost deleted part, or like messed with something in his brain. And I think that was the thing that connected him with Professor Hulk. So now it just seems like we're back to Banner and Hulk, which is interesting. That's what we've wanted for a while now. And the Hulk scenes were great. Hulk was huge. He was menacing. I forgot how big he is. And he had a great line. He said, no Spider-Man. No, or he said, no Spider-Man. Or he said, no Banner, no girl, only Hulk. And I was like, yeah. And he did the clap. Peak Marvel. If you've seen my podcast, our first episode, my friend Lewis put Hulk, I think, at number 2. So I know he was really excited to see Hulk is back. Like I said, Tom Holland, fantastic performance. I love how we got kind of how Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire was, where he loses MJ and stuff, and he starts losing his powers. And in this case, he doesn't lose his powers, but they get heightened and stuff. And everything with him, MJ and Ned, I think was handled beautifully. I was really scared that they weren't going to be in the movie originally. A part of me wanted that, I think, because it would have been cool to just see Peter completely on his own. But they're so integral to his story that I think it makes sense they're here. And I just didn't want them to go too far into it where everything's back to normal halfway through the movie, And it started feeling that way a little bit. It really started feeling, at one point I was like, is MJ and him just gonna be back together all of a sudden? But they handled it so well. Like in the first scene they have together where they kiss and it turns out Jean Grey is controlling her. Fantastic scene. And I love that she reads the letter and it's like this moment where, again, that was the moment I talked about earlier, no score, and it's just them talking. He's like, I love you, and she's like, I don't love you, I don't even know you. And it's literally my mind shot instantly to Gamora and Quill, because it's like Quill loves this girl. This is who they had a relationship for like years with, but this isn't his like Gamora in a sense, and this isn't his MJ in the sense that MJ doesn't remember him. Now at the end of the film, we see her going like this, and we get the sense that, you know, they're obviously going to explore that. I'm sure they'll get back together, you know. And I really love Ned and Peter's relationship. I thought they were obviously, him and MJ is like the number one thing, but him and Ned is like, that was just so pure. Like, you know, seeing, there was a scene where MJ brings Spider-Man in to just hang with Ned a bit, and they're building Legos, and it's probably one of the best scenes in the whole film. It's just all three of them hanging out again, and it's almost like old times. And Peter's like, this is one of the best days I've had in a while. Like, I miss my friends. And he, and the ending, I think the ending of this movie is beautiful. It ends with Ned and Peter, and they do their handshake in the restaurant. Well, first off, MJ says good luck, Peter. So he kind of like, she kind of outs Peter's identity with Ned there, and Ned's like, his name's Peter, and at the end he's like, my name's Peter. And I think it clicked in Ned's head that this is Spider-Man. But they do the handshake, and my friend was like, how does he know the handshake? Like, is he starting to remember again? No, I just think he knows that he had this handshake with someone. Like MJ says, like, you know, I think I know you, to Spider-Man, because like, you saved me multiple times. Like, maybe once or twice is a coincidence, but multiple times across different countries you saved me. Ned remembers it. And just that scene of when they do that handshake and the camera pans to Peter and he smiles and it ends. What a perfect way to end it. And I'm just glad like he has his friends back again. Like, we all joke about, we love how Peter, like, we love seeing depressed Peter and stuff, which is great, but it's nice for him to have a friend or two. How they use Aunt May in this film is great. Now, my theater experience was a little chopped because the climax, so like they keep kind of peering into Peter's mind a little bit, and there's basically the scene with Peter when he's like new to being Peter Parker, and May just found out, and May's trying to talk to him and like stuff about something, and it keeps cutting away. Obviously, there was a guy towards the end when we finally find out what it is, because Jean is in his head, that he was snoring through the whole time. I was like getting a little irritated, snoring through this scene. And so basically, and I love how they use Aunt May to be like, you know, you're never alone. You know, you won't be alone. You always find someone. That helps Jean Grey kind of snap out of it a little. I'm using her full government, but love how they used her. And yeah, this film is great, guys. It's so good to have a nice Spider-Man film. Yelena's in the movie. That's the cameo I mentioned earlier. I think that was confirmed a while ago, but I really like how they use Yelena. She gets 2 scenes, and this felt like Hawkeye Yelena, because obviously we had Thunderbolts Yelena, where everything was much more serious because a lot of them were dealing with depression. But when we had Hawkeye Yelena, she was sad about, you know, and all that. But then we had that episode where she's talking to Kate Bishop, and she's like whimsical and kind of just funny, and that we got that kind of Yelena, which is nice. Now we're going to Doomsday, and you know it's going to be lock-in time. But I love this connecting universe again. It just feels so good, like Yelena, and I'm so glad they know that Florence Pugh has the star power to kind of carry, I'm not saying the whole MCU, but part of it. She's showing up in a lot of stuff, and she's really the connected being and stuff. And yeah, I really like her, like what she did in here. And she's talking about potatoes. She's like, you know, your problem's a small potato. Our problems are big potatoes, which is because we always say Spider-Man and Daredevil are like street level, and the Avengers are the Avengers. Speaking of Daredevil, there was one scene that they were like, yeah, Spider-Man helped take down the Hand. My boy Daredevil did all that by himself in like seasons 1, 2, and 3. He defeated the Hand. Okay, I really wish we saw Daredevil in this show. Man, I wish we saw Daredevil in this movie. I really hope we see him in the next Spider-Man film, and I really hope we see Fisk, because Kevin Feige said the rights aren't as bad as we thought they were. I need to see William Dafoe's Fisk go off against Spider-Man, at least, or even have a scene together, because again, I really love that, you know, I love at the end, like the city. One of my favorite scenes in the whole film, and probably the whole Tom Holland movies, is when he's going through the parade of people and he sees a little kid, and the kid looks at him, he goes like this to him. That's like so Spider-Man-y to me. But yeah, they're like, yeah, savior of the city. And I'm like, Daredevil took down Fisk like 3 times and is in prison. It's like, Daredevil did a lot. Like Spider-Man's still number 1 because he's been doing this for years, like, you know, Scorpion and all that. But Daredevil's like right here. Like, come on. Like, they gotta kind of really give Daredevil his flowers in the movies. I hope they do. But yeah, other than that, obviously that's like right stuff. If it was up to Marvel, I'm sure they could have Spider-Man and Daredevil and vice versa, you know, which I yearn. Like, I love what we're getting. But man, I yearn for a timeline where they just have all the rights and they can just do it. Like Spider-Man can pop up in all these things. The end credit scene. A lot of people were disappointed. I didn't know what the end credit scene was going into the film. I just saw people like, oh, don't stay. It's not worth it. It's pretty important. So it ends with the spider tracker that Ned made, and it's like, oh, Spider-Man disappeared out of New York, and it goes to outer space, and it just says found, and it ends, which confirms that Spider-Man's going to be in. A lot of people are saying that means he's in Doomsday. No, I think he's in Secret Wars. I really think that's what it is. The way I think Doomsday is going to go, if we're basing off the comics and some leaked, artwork and stuff, I think Doom's going to win in Doomsday. He's going to merge the timelines. He's going to make Battle World. If you don't know what Battle World is, it's like his perfect world, and basically all the Avengers and all these people live on it, but they're all brain like washed and they don't remember anything and they just live there. So I think Peter got there because I'm pretty sure he's not in Doomsday. I think he will be in Secret Wars too. But yeah, guys, great film. 9.5 out of 10. I really like this film. The best Tom Holland Spider-Man film and one of the better MCU films. Man, MCU's on a run. I keep saying it. I just like, it's so good to be in this like hype of MCU. And now we have, like, I can't believe I'm saying this. The next MCU film is Avengers Doomsday. I can't believe it. But let me know what you guys think down below. Did you like it? Were you disappointed? Let me know. As always, been Joey. I am going to England for 2 weeks, so I won't have many videos up. I'm going to try to get a podcast up before then, but if not, I'll see you guys after that. It's been Joey. See you later.